try to understand a little concept called carcinogenesis. So, what exactly is carcinogenesis? It's a process, right? And it's a process by which normal cells transform into cancer cells, right? Carcinogenesis, and it's caused by accumulation of these genetic mutation, these DNA changes, right? So for these to happen, we need active proto-oncogenes, right? They turn into oncogenes, right? Then we need bad, really inactive tumor suppressor genes. And then we have to disable DNA repair genes. So we have to get messed up in all these three parts. The first was we have to convert these proto-onco into onco. Third is we have to stop these tumor suppressor genes. And then we have to stop DNA repair system, right? So that we can have cancer. So we need to have these three things. So these things can, cause cancer. What can cause? These chemical agents, these can damage DNA, and they can damage DNA either directly or their metabolized part, their metabolite can cause DNA damage. Let's go by one. What are these and, what happens? Okay. So, so first one is aflatoxin. Okay, here it is. So this aflatoxin, it comes from Aspergillus fungus. And once this fungus contaminates the stored grains, especially it happens in a warm and humid area, right? And this usually it comes and it attacks your liver, okay? And here the messed up part, the part that is suppressed here, the part that is suppressed is P53 tumor suppressor gene is messed up here. So let me write that. Remarks here, P53 is messed here, okay? It's not working. So the concept here is that there is mutation in the P53, so there is no guardian of this genome, so we get damaged hepatocytes, and thus these hepatocytes keep dividing, and then we have this cancer called hepatocellular carcinoma called HCC. And it is most common cancer in some African countries because there is warm and humid areas. Okay, let me write it. Warm and humid. That's the concept here. So, alkylating agents, right? Let's study this. So, alkylating agent, these are chemotherapy drugs that are used to treat cancer itself. Now, the mechanism is that they add alkali group to the DNA and they cross-link, they cross-link like this. So they cross-link the DNA and then mutation happens. And what happens is that here the cancer of leukemia and lymphoma arises after you try to treat your cancer, right? So concept here is that ironically, these drugs that are supposed to cure your cancer, they cause new type of cancer due to the DNA damage. So what here really we are trying to do is that we put these drugs inside your body and we try to jumpstart this P53 system, right? This P53 system, so that we can, help. We can repair our cells. That's the concept here. Okay, alcohol. The mechanism here is that chronic irritation and this toxicity of alcohol, it causes DNA damage. Okay, and this DNA damage leads to chronic inflammation, right? And then we have cancer out of that. And we have oropharynx cancer, right? And we have these something called as squamous cell carcinoma, SCC, of oropharynx cancer, which is due to can be because of due to smoking as well, okay? So another risk is tobacco. We have pancreatic carcinoma, right? And it can be because of chronic pancreatitis, because you have been drinking for 20 years. And then because of the liver, because liver is the detoxing agent here, liver via cirrhosis, like cirrhosis happens, and then the dysplasia of the cell happens, and then we have hepatocellular carcinoma. So we have DNA damage and then chronic inflammation, and all of this lead to this squamous cell carcinoma or pancreatic carcinoma or hepatocellular carcinoma. Okay, then we have arsenic, right? Now arsenic, it comes from pesticides, bad water, or like some skin whiteners, right? The cancer is SCC, skin cancer, right? Squamous cell carcinoma, SCC. And women used to apply arsenic to have fair skin, right? Now test arsenic poisoning from fingernails and hair follicles, right? We check it, okay? And then we have lung carcinoma, and then we have liver angiosarcoma, okay? Now in liver it's angiosarcoma, that's very important. Mechanism here is that arsenic causes oxidative DNA damage, right? And it just stops the DNA repair mechanism. It stops the P53 system, and that's the system, right? That's the system. So that's arsenic right there. Asbestos, another thing. This chemical, asbestos, it comes from some sort of construction site, and it's like it's a insulation, insulation material. And asbestos is actually can come from a natural mineral, right? So you are doing any sort of mining, and then this mineral can actually get inside your body, and then it will result to lung cancer, okay? Lung carcinoma, far more likely than mesothelioma, okay? What is mesothelioma? Now let me write that. So this mesothelioma, wait. This mesothelioma means cancer of the pleura, pleural tumor, okay? So that is mesothelioma. And lung cancer is just, it's carcinoma mostly, and especially it happens with smoking. So smoking really promotes this lung cancer. So the concept here is that these asbestos, they provide this due to inhalation of this this mineral. These mineral, they make chronic inflammation in your pleura, and then you have reactive oxygen damage, and then you have mutation. Okay, what about cigarettes? Cigarettes, most common carcinogen worldwide, really common. They contain more than 40 carcinogens, and one of the major one is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAH. Polycyclic hydrocarbons, right? The main carcinogen, and they are very messed up, okay? And they give us squamous cell carcinoma of oropharynx, larynx, and esophagus. Then we have lung carcinoma, and then we have kidney and bladder carcinoma. The concept here is that when we inhale the toxin, it gets absorbed by the lungs, right? And then it goes to bloodstream, and it reaches the kidney and bladder eventually. Now, this is where these toxins, they start to concentrate in the urine. So that's why we have these, kidney and bladder cancer due to cigarettes. Nobody would think that it can happen, but this toxin from the skin, urine, irritates the cells, right? That's why we have that. Okay. Nitrosamine. Okay. So the source is, packed food, preserved food, that is smoked, pickled, salted meats, right? Found in smoked food, responsible for high stomach cancer in Japan because they love it. They love the smoke fish every day. So this smoked fish, they love it, and you can actually get cancer from it. So stomach carcinoma, one of the very normal type, right? Mechanism here is that this compound called nitrosamine, right? It gives us something called as nitroso, and this actually goes and directly mutate your DNA, right? So try not to eat that smoked fish, right? So that's the thing. Naphthylamine, right here, naphthylamine. Now this naphthylamine, this is again derived from the cigarette smoke, and it's excreted by the urine, right? And another source of this naphthylamine is rubber industry, and it gives us urothelial carcinoma of bladder because again these toxins, they concentrate in the bladder. So that's the concept. Vinyl chloride. Now this vinyl chloride is used in PVC pipe manufacturing. So if we are working at this PVC pipe manufacturing thing, we can have something called as angiosarcoma of the liver. Okay, nickel, chromium, beryllium, silica. Lot of mining happens here and factory workers, welders, miners, all of these workers are on the occupational exposure, right? It's a health hazard for them, and they breathe this thing in, and then they can get lung cancer. And we know that lung cancer is the number one killer of both women and both females and male. So 1 billion people smoke cigarettes worldwide, and it's very bad. That's it. Let's talk about viral carcinogenesis, right? So what happens here is that this virus, they insert their DNA into host cell, they hijack it, they do replication, they disable the tumor suppressing genes, right? For example, P53, right? So what happened here is that we have EBV, that is Epstein-Barr virus. What happens is that here we get something called as Burkitt's lymphoma, and it's classically presented in African kids, okay? And it's just one example, that's it right there. And other cancer that we can get is CNS lymphoma, right, in AIDS patient. Nasopharyngeal carcinoma, classically seen in Chinese and African people, and they metastasize early. Classically, representation is a neck mass. Now, why they metastasize early in these Chinese and African male or people? Because they have predisposition of genes right there. They have like one genetic copy is hit already. For example, they have one damaged lineage genetic coming from their parents, so they are like predisposed to these type of cancer from EBV, Epstein-Barr virus, right? So the EBV infects these epithelial cells of these nasopharyngeal layer, right? So this geography and genetic predisposition, like genetic susceptibility, plus they love this salted and smoked fish diet, the Chinese men. So it's like a perfect combination for cancer to happen. So that's the that's the concept. HHV, human herpes virus. So HHV8, okay, we have multiple type of these viruses. So it gives us something called as Kaposi sarcoma. Now the people who are at risk are number one, older Eastern European males, second, AIDS patient, and third are the transplant patient. They have immune suppression going on in their body, right? The mechanism here is that this HHV infects not the epithelial, because EBV attacks the epithelial. HHV attacks the endothelial, okay? And it attacks the endothelial cells, and this attack, and it leads to a lot of proliferation, a lot of angiogenesis happening in the endothelial layer of this shit here. So that's the concept here. Okay, so HBV and HCV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, they can give hepatocellular carcinoma. The mechanism here is that chronic inflammation of these liver, right, it gives regenerative hyperplasia, because we know that liver comes under stable organ, right? We know there are three type of organs. First is the permanent this organ liable. Let me check. We have three types of organs, right? Labile, the one that can be changed easily. We have stem cells there. Stable, liver is one of it, and permanent, right? So liver comes under stable tissue that can have regeneration capabilities if it needs. So what here happens is that due to chronic inflammation for past 5 months, 10 months, it leads to regenerative hyperplasia, right? And this regenerative hyperplasia actually is the cause of the DNA damage. Once the DNA keeps getting damaged again and again, and what will happen is that the integration of this viral DNA, right, HBV or HCV, the integration will happen into the host genome, right, our genome, right? And then we will change this proto-oncogene into oncogene, okay? The conversion happens. So that's the mechanism, okay? HTLV1, human T lymphotrophic virus 1. So human T cell leukemia virus type 1, it gives us adult T cell leukemia or lymphoma, okay? And mechanism here is that we have something called as TAX proteins. And these TAX protein, they activate these growth genes, okay? And the endemic here is that Japan, Caribbean countries, and Africa. Okay, so that's really the concept here. Okay, HPV type 16, 18, 31, and 33. Okay, so these are high risk HPV. Okay, because they give us squamous cell carcinoma of these anogenital area. Okay, now this anogenital area, what are these anogenital area? These are vagina, vulva, cervix, and anus. Okay, and we can also get adenocarcinoma of the cervix. Okay, let's try to understand the mechanism, because it's very important, because just knowing the names is not sufficient to understand it. So we have something called as protein E6. Okay, so this protein E6, this go and inhibits P53 system. Okay, that's number one mechanism. Number two mechanism, that protein E7 and goes and it inhibits this something called as RB. What is RB? Retinoblastoma gene. Okay, I'll tell you about this. And from this we have like cancer. Okay, just try to understand it right now. So once your RB is messed up, when your P53 is messed up, you will have cancer. Okay, so we understand the viruses now. We understand viruses, we understand these chemical agents. Let's try to understand the cancer associated with ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. Okay, so ionizing radiation. So what are these? So ionizing means these X-rays, radiotherapy, nuclear, accident, example Chernobyl. And the mechanism is that these ionizing radiation, they create free radicals that destroy our DNA, and they give us AML, CML, leukemia, both of them are leukemia. And then we can have something called as papillary thyroid carcinoma. And this carcinoma, it's usually present in Chernobyl kids. And Chernobyl kids have this papillary thyroid carcinoma because due to iodine uptake. Okay, because of increased iodine uptake and concentration of radiation. Okay, so it's like, I hope you understand this connection, right? What about non-ionizing radiation? For example, UVB, right? Source is sunlight, right? Mechanism is that this causes these UVB rays, right, from the sun. They cause pyrimidine dimers, right, in DNA. Okay, now normally they are repaired very well, right? But due to cancer, the repair mechanism is messed up. We have something called as NER. Okay, NER. What is NER? NER is nucleotide excision repair. Excision mean it just repairs it, right? It cuts it and it repairs it. So what happens here is that the DNA damage, right, formation of too much pyrimidine dimers to be excised, right, cut by restriction endonucleases, right, NER. Okay, nucleotide excision repair. Okay, these enzymes, right, they go and they just cut it. So if this system is messed up, you will have basal cell carcinoma of the skin, squamous cell carcinoma of the skin, and melanoma of the skin. Okay, and what happens in xeroderma pigmentosum here in this disease, that the NER, right, the NER, the nucleotide excision repair mechanism, this enzyme, it's defective and it cannot repair the dimers, right? And this extreme UV sensitivity happens, and then you have multiple skin cancer all over your body. So that's the thing right here. Other thing is radon. So source is decay of the uranium in the soil, and it accumulates in the basements or in the mines, right, in houses of USA, and it can give you lung carcinoma, right? Radon just present in the soil, accumulates in closed spaces, basement, and it's the most common cause of lung cancer in USA. So this whole concept, it was just more like a list than really understanding a lot of things. So let's try to revise it. So alpha toxin is because of aspergillus, right, and it gives us cancer of the liver. Okay, I don't want to repeat all of this because it's a long list, but that's the list. Okay, right there. So that's like, so that was it. Have a nice day. Bye bye.